Once you turn 60, the only reliable support is not family, but these 5 pillars. Margaret, 68, sits at family dinners surrounded by her 3 successful children and 5 grandchildren, yet she tells me, "I feel like a stranger at my table." But here's what's even stranger: that voice in your head telling you this is wrong, that family should be enough, that you're being ungrateful. That voice isn't you. It's the part of your mind that still believes someone else is responsible for your happiness. After 60, the most reliable support isn't what you think it is. It's not your children who have their own lives to live. It's not even money, though that helps. It's something quieter, more subtle, but also more freeing than most people can imagine. And it begins by examining something we all carry yet rarely understand. Chapter 1. The Inner Sanctuary. When peace must come from within. When most people think about aging, they imagine needing more support from others. But the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago that the moment you stop needing others to complete you, you become truly free. This doesn't mean isolation, being cold or distant. It points to something more quiet, more subtle, the awareness that was never broken in the first place. Meet Frank, 72, a retired engineer. His children live across the country. They call dutifully, but he can hear it in their voices. They're busy, distracted, going through the motions. Frank's mind kept saying, "I raised them, they should make time for me." But then Frank learned to listen in a different way, not to that demanding voice, but to the space between thoughts. He started with 10 minutes each, morning, no phone, no television, just sitting with his coffee, watching the sunrise. At first, Frank says, "My mind was like a monkey chattering about everything wrong with my life. But slowly I realized I wasn't that monkey. I was the one watching it." This is the first pillar, recognizing you are not your thoughts. You are not the voice that says, "I'm lonely," or "they should call more." You are the awareness that notices these thoughts as they arise and pass away. The practice is simple. When disappointment comes, don't fight it. Don't feed it either. See it. "Oh, there's that story again, the one where my happiness depends on others." And something beautiful happens when you stop believing every thought that appears in your mind. Chapter 2. The Temple of Independence. Your body as freedom. Most people view aging bodies as a betrayal, a decline, and a burden. But what if your body isn't something you have, but something you are temporarily experiencing? This shifts everything. Dorothy, 74, discovered this the hard way. 2 years ago, she was pre-diabetic, couldn't climb stairs without gasping, and needed her daughter for everything. "I felt like I was disappearing," she says, "like my body was stealing my life." But Dorothy learned something profound. You can't control your body completely, but you can stop identifying with every ache and limitation. She started cycling, not to prove anything, but because movement felt like meditation. People thought I was crazy, a 72-year-old woman on a bike. But when I rode, I wasn't old Dorothy with health problems. I was just aware of the wind. The second pillar is seeing the body. It ages, it gets tired, it needs care. But you are not trapped inside it. You are the consciousness that inhabits it temporarily. This doesn't mean ignoring health. It means caring for your body without being enslaved by its demands. Dorothy now eats to nourish, not to punish. She rests to restore, not to hide. She moves to celebrate, not to fix. 2 years later, she is off diabetes medication, living independently, and recently traveled solo to Colorado. Her daughter went from a worried caregiver to a proud witness. When you stop saying, "My body is failing me," you can start saying, "This body is carrying me through another day of awareness." Chapter 3. Money as space, not security. Financial peace through non-attachment. Here's something strange about money after 60. The more you need it to feel safe, the less secure it makes you think. Robert owns a $2 million house and substantial savings, but he lies awake at night thinking, what if the market crashes? What if I need long-term care? What if I become a burden? Meanwhile, Linda lives on a modest teacher's pension, yet she sleeps peacefully every night. What's the difference? Robert believes his security comes from having enough. Linda knows her security comes from needing less. The Buddha taught something radical about wealth. It's not what you have, but how lightly you hold it. Linda calculated exactly what she needed, $2,800 per month. Everything above that, she says, is just noise in my head. The third pillar is financial non-attachment. This doesn't mean being irresponsible. It means planning wisely and then releasing the outcome. Linda's approach: know your enough number and stop there. Prepare for dependence without obsessing over it. Practice transparency. Her daughter knows everything. Choose simplicity over status. When you're not afraid of not having enough, Linda discovered, you realize you already have plenty. The strange truth: the less desperately you cling to money, the more peacefully it serves you. Chosen connections. Love without attachment. The Blue Zone's research revealed that people who live longest rarely depend primarily on family for social connection. They create what researchers call chosen families. But why do chosen relationships often feel more nourishing than blood relationships? It's because chosen relationships don't carry the weight of expectation, the voice in your head that says, they should love me because I'm their mother. That's ego. That's the part of the mind that believes love is something you earn or deserve. Susan, 65, learned this after her husband died. Her children lived far away. She was waiting to be rescued from loneliness. But then she remembered something. Love isn't something you receive. It's something you are. She created what she calls the Tuesday Club, a group of 6 women who became each other's chosen family. When Mary got cancer, they organized care without obligation. When Linda's son divorced, they offered support without advice. When Patricia lost her job at 67, they encouraged her without pity. My children love me, Susan explains, but they have their own lives. My Tuesday friends choose me every week. There's a difference between dutiful love and conscious love. The fourth pillar is relationships without attachment. You don't love others because they complete you. You love them because love is a natural part of your being. You don't need them to love you back in any particular way. This creates space for authentic connection. When you stop needing others to be different than they are, they often become more present with you naturally. The practice. Notice when the voice says, they should. That's ego, real you love, without conditions, without keeping score. Chapter 5. The Purposeless Purpose, meaning beyond the story of me. At 78, Jimmy Carter was building houses. At 81, he was eradicating disease in Africa. When asked about retirement, he said, I've never been more fulfilled. However, what's interesting about Carter's approach is that he doesn't discuss his legacy, he doesn't measure his impact, he serves. Bill, 69, former CEO, felt empty after retirement. All my identity was wrapped up in being important, being needed. Without that, who was I? Then Bill learned something profound. The voice asking, who am I? Is the very thing keeping you from discovering what you are. Bill started tutoring kids who couldn't read not to feel important, not to build a legacy, but simply because a child couldn't read and he could help. 3 years later, I've taught 47 kids to read. But here's the strange thing. I stopped counting. I stopped thinking about my impact. I just showed up. The fifth pillar is purpose without the ego of purpose. You don't serve others to feel good about yourself. You serve because service is what naturally flows when you stop believing the story of me. This is what the Buddha meant by purposeless purpose. You act without the inner narrator saying, "I'm the one acting." You help without taking credit for it. You love without someone there to love. Bill discovered, when you stop trying to be someone significant, you become available for something significant to happen through you. So what remains when you stop believing the voice that says you need others to complete you? Not emptiness, not loneliness, something much more spacious. You don't need to say, "I have inner peace." You don't need to say, "I'm financially secure." You don't need to claim, "I have good relationships," or "I live with purpose." You just are. The voice that wanted to be supported, validated, and remembered was never you, anyway. It was just a pattern in consciousness like clouds passing through an empty sky. After 60, the most reliable support isn't what you build around yourself. It's what was never absent. The awareness that watches thoughts come and go, the space that holds all experience without being disturbed by any of it. Your children can live their lives freely. Your body can age without apology. Your bank account can fluctuate without drama. Your relationships can flow naturally. Your actions can arise spontaneously, because you were never the one who needed support in the first place. If this perspective feels like coming home to something you've always known but temporarily forgot, share it with someone who might be ready to hear it. Subscribe for more explorations into the quiet wisdom that needs no improvement, no achievement, no validation. Next, why the longest living people stop trying to live forever, the profound psychology of letting go. What patterns are you ready to stop believing? The comments are a space for honest exploration. May you be free from the voice that says you're not enough. May you remember what was never lost.